All right, hey everybody. I'm here with Kpro, as you can see, and we thought we would do our roundtable response together. So I don't know if that breaks the rules or not, but Kpro said she didn't really care. So here we go. So do you have to figure out what warm waters are, or do you have to figure out where they halt? In my opinion, and me and Kpro have not discussed our answers, so this will be totally separate. In my opinion, I go back to the Richard Eads interview. I think in vlog 2, maybe I mentioned this because this is about a good 3 or 4 years ago. The Richard Eads interview, the interviewer was talking to Forrest, and he said, the person who studies and researches for hours and hours will find the chest. And Forrest Fenn says, you don't have to, and then he pauses, and he says, you have to think different things. So I took that to mean he was about to say, you don't have to research for hours and hours, you have to think different things. So if we have to think different things, I think we have to figure out what the warm waters are, because it goes along with his other comment. There are, what do you say? There are 1,000 places where warm waters halt north of Santa Fe. Correct me if I got that wrong, Christy. There are 1,000 places where warm waters halt north of Santa Fe. Look at
Something very similar, yeah.
Yeah, look at the big picture. So I take that to mean that all those 1,000 places are not the warm waters that we're looking for. We've got to think differently. We've got to look at the big picture. There's something else. There's a trick here of some kind, and I'm not sure what it is yet, but I think that's why so many people are looking and so many people haven't found it. So I think we have to figure out what the warm waters are before we have any hope of finding out where they halt. So what do you think, Kpro?
I think what you just said is incredible, but I have a little bit of a different take. So I've been in the search 3 years and I've had 3 solves. And every time I had thought, well, I need to figure out where warm waters halt, either with he is up in and talks about Madison Junction and fishing and all of that. And I've had a couple solves. First was Madison Junction. First was my second location actually was an acronym of WWH. It was actually the same WWH of what I thought was WWH, which I'll go into at another time. And then the third was a water feature that was not a hot springs going into a cold springs or a cold area. So I had 3 very different what. And very different wheres, but I have figured out now, going on to my 4th search, which I'm starting to work through right now. I believe that you have to figure out what it is before you can figure out where it is, because how do you narrow it down otherwise? If you don't figure out what it is, which I now believe I'm very solid about what I believe what it is. That's the only way to narrow down where it is, because again, exactly like you said, Mike, there's a lot of what it is, and then you have to narrow it down from there. But the first step is to take what it is, and then once you figure out what it is, then you figure out where it is. So I am a believer for different reasons. After my own boots on the ground, probably 5-6 times, I've tried to go backwards, and now I'm trying to go, okay, I need to do it in chronological order, which step 1 is what it is, step 2 is where it is.
So if I heard
That's
you
my take.
correctly, you think you have identified what it is. Did I hear that right?
I very strongly believe I know what it is.
What
And there
percent?
are
What percentage out of 100 confident are you?
90, 99, but I'm always could be wrong. There's never 100% unless you hear it from Forrest Fenn, and I did not, but I actually have the same thoughts as several of many searchers I've talked to of, but even if you know what it is, and I will say, I believe it is a geothermal feature. If you know that, you still have 1,000. And there's some specific reasons why I've narrowed it down to a specific location, but you had to start with the geothermal, and then there's criteria based on that after. I don't know if I'm right, but I have to go with my interpretation until I start narrowing down to my exact location.
All right, so there you have it. So Sean Dotson and the flip side, great idea. The roundtable discussion. Yeah, I don't think you said how often we're going to do these, but I hope it's often because it's a good idea. And I just want to remind everybody that Kpro is going to have her own YouTube show Monday nights at what time?
7 o'clock Mountain, 9 o'clock Eastern for you and my time zones to be there.
All right. I hope everybody tunes in. We'll see you then.
Bye.